Hi. Breaking the Silence is a series aimed at understanding our youth, their changes, their behavior, their expectations, their fears, and their curiosity. Adolescents ask a lot of questions and they have a lot going on in their minds. But the answers never come, as they don't know whom to talk to and where to go to find the answers. Teens in Control will be sharing some of these issues and many more on relationships. Stay with us as we break the silence.
Hello again, my teens in control. It's good to be with you again, and today we want to look at a very, very interesting topic, and the title will be My Choice for a Future Tomorrow.
Have you heard that we can catch various diseases if we don't protect ourselves?
Yes, but I am a little confused.
I sometimes wonder, when we talk about diseases, how many of us give any consideration what sort of diseases we are talking about. We do get flus, and we can even get headaches and tummy ache. But the sort of diseases we are talking about is much more complicated and something that we should pay close attention to, that it does not happen to any one of us. It is called S.T.D.
Protect ourselves how, and what is meant by S.T.D?
I wonder how many of my friends know the meaning of S.T.D.
A wonderful question. S.T.D stands for sexually transmitted diseases. And it says exactly that for you to be able to have a sexually transmitted disease, you must have been in contact with someone who was infected and you had made a choice to be sexually active.
We will break the silence.
Whenever I see Tommy, he's always with a new girlfriend.
He's always taking them out and giving them lots of gifts.
No wonder they will all like him.
But I also know that last week he had to go and see a doctor and wasn't well after that.
Do you know what happened to him?
You know, I'm going to guess, and my guess is probably going to be accurate. For starters, and I want you to pay attention to this, the first and easiest way for someone to actually make you do something that you did not expect to do is to entice you. By enticing, what I'm saying is just ordinary little things that you might actually wish you had. Going to a movie. Maybe just going for a walk and having an ice cream with someone you like. Or there is a pair of shoes that you have actually been wanting, an iPod, a magazine, whatever it is. And so those little gifts end up being given to you, and if you take them, you are making an obligation that might be expected for payback later. As far as Tommy is concerned, he might have been the most popular guy, and girls liked him, and he took advantage of that. But when he went to see the doctor, nobody seems to know what happened after that because we don't see him. Let me just draw an illustration on the board for you to jog your memory on something we've already done. Do you remember this circle? And we divided it into 4 areas. Tommy made a decision. And that decision was probably not the best. Now, if we think about the consequence of that decision, most of it is going to be in these 3 areas. 1, he is having memories that constantly remind him of something he did that he shouldn't have done. As far as his feelings are concerned, I suspect he could be feeling sad. He might even be angry. And let's not forget, you and I know, when we do something that we shouldn't be doing, we get to a point where we feel ashamed. Now, this being the feelings that Tommy is going through, might there be something that be happening on that S word, the social aspect of it, where we are social beings? And the first thing that will probably happening here is that he's beginning to feel lonely because he is isolating himself and he's not able to communicate to his friends and tell the truth. At the same time, someone, including his friends and his family members, may probably not trust him as much as they did before. So do you see, guys, when we talk about consequences, it doesn't just affect the physical part. He is being told that he has an S.T.D. And that affects everything else, and we cannot be able to come to terms with what we have done.
Why do you think there's an epidemic today?
It's important first to ask ourselves, what is an epidemic? Doctors, World Health Organizations, governments in most countries have to deal with this situation. Not long ago, here in Mauritius, we had a scare on something that was called chikungunya. And the government mobilized doctors and everybody got into it to try and eliminate it before it became an epidemic. An epidemic definition of it, for you to simply understand, is a disease or an infection that gets out of control. Once it goes out of control, it is called an epidemic. So when we talk about an epidemic of sexually transmitted diseases, this is even more scary now because it means that people are making wrong decisions and therefore developing this out of control status. There is an epidemic, and it is not just in our country, it is all over the world. Two reasons. People are having sex with too many different partners. Therefore, change of partners is one of the reasons there is an epidemic. Another reason is that once somebody is infected with an S.T.D, would you believe they are too embarrassed to report it or even go for a medical checkup? I may even add one more, and that is some of these S.T.Ds we are talking about have no signs. They do not show you that you are infected. This is called a symptom. When you don't know that you are infected with something because your life is normal, everything seems okay, you continue with the same behavior, and that behavior just makes the epidemic become worse and worse in any given situation.
We are the teens in control and we will break the silence. How do you think a person feels when he or she discovers he has S.T.D?
I know that in some cases, people do not tell anyone and continue to live a normal life.
But don't you think this is wrong, as they will spread the disease and affect other people's life?
If you look back on the board, we have already talked about it. feels. How does the person feel? The person feels all these things. They are sad, they're angry, they're ashamed. I will even probably add something else. And you might also be guessing quite a few other things that one feels. One not only feels ashamed, but gets very, very stressed because they are very worried. Suppose you had sexual intercourse with someone you thought you really, really loved. And then, the minute you tell them that you are infected or you don't feel well, they tell you they have nothing to do with you and they walk away. How does that feel? You're going to be left feeling, and I want to actually put this in capital letters, used. That's not a good feeling, and I do not wish it on any one of you, as I totally believe you are going to make the right choice as opposed to the bad choice. Let me share something with you, and it's very important that you even remember to share it with your friends who may not be watching the program. When someone has sex, and they find out that they are infected, there are, first of all, two ways of discovering that. One is that there will be symptoms that will tell them that they have an infection. The symptoms would present themselves by way of probably having burning urination. That is definitely a sign that you have an S.T.D. Another way would be for discharge that would be coming from your genitalia. For girls, through the vagina, and for boys, through the penis. This discharge is off-white, and that fluid that will be coming out in small drops, you will know it is S.T.D. or an infection because it's going to be smelling very, very badly. Your question was, if they know that and they continue to do what they are doing, they are spreading the disease. Rightly so. But did you know there are people who, when they get angry, when they get ashamed, they decide they are going not to suffer by themselves, but they are going to continue and revenge, so to say. The shame, which I said earlier, the embarrassment to go and actually visit a doctor for treatment is another reason why the disease is going to be continuing. S.T.Ds are not something that we want to joke about because sex is not a game.
When we are hurt, we feel pain or see blood coming out of a wound. But if a person has an S.T.D, will he or she see or feel anything?
Unfortunately, most of the S.T.Ds do not have any symptoms at all. So your life is going to be normal. And if you have chosen to make decisions that are going to harm you and harm other people, then that is just sad. What you need to do is make a choice and stick to that choice if we are talking about a bright future. In conclusion, my dear boys and girls, we have looked at consequences of premarital sexual behavior. And what you need to remember is that sex is not a game. It is going to affect the whole of you as a person. Mentally, you may lose your goals. You will have memories. Emotionally, you will feel sad, you will feel ashamed, and you will even feel angry and worried. And socially, people will stop trusting you, particularly your family members and your friends. Not to mention, you will be very lonely. Sex needs to be considered with the ultimate caution. One, because the symptoms of S.T.Ds are mostly evasive. There are no signs. You don't know you are infected. And if you find out, because we are human beings at the end of the day, if you have had sex, do not be afraid. Talk to someone, go and see a doctor, and get treatment, because some S.T.Ds are curable. Unfortunately, not all, because from one choice of an act, you may be left to suffer for the rest of your life. Until next time, remember, sex is not a game. Goodbye.